Okay, joined now by Tina Griffin, the counterculture mom. Tina, thanks for joining us again, as usual.
Hey, no problem. There's always something to talk about on this show.
Sure is. And we've got a biggie here. We've got a situation in England and the United Kingdom where we have a Christian teaching aide who has been removed from her job because she can no longer, in good conscience, participate in the indoctrination of British children into the LGBTQ agenda. Talk about the background of this story.
Hey, that's awesome. We need women like her. Geez, my hair is standing on end after hearing what you just said. We need women like her on in America, on American soil, because what she's talking about is dead set what's happening here in American schools. Christy Higgs, she worked at the school for 6 years. Her oldest of two children went to that school, and they were having LGBTQ XYZ classes there at the school. And it went against her Christian beliefs. And here's what she said. She went on social media, expressed her concern. Some anonymous person contacted the school, who knows who it was, and basically said what she had talked about, which is disputing the very curriculum that at the school where she worked at. And within, I think, hours, she was fired from her job. But the thing that really gets me fired up is here's what she actually said about the story. Here's her quote. My number one concern has always been the effect that learning about sex and gender in school have on our children at such a young age. I completely agree. I'm determined to fight this case and to stand for Christians and all parents across the country who are being silenced for sharing and holding these views. She said, my biggest thing is that there's so much brainwashing with children to believe gender is a matter of choice and that all relationships are equally valid. She said, you know what? God does not make mistakes. He made male and female, and what he has created is good. And I've been saying that for decades speaking. God does not mess up in our design if we're male and female. And here Satan is having 71 genders now on Facebook and teaching all of these LGBTQ classes in schools. So it's posing a big problem because now parents are afraid to speak up for what's right because they don't want to lose their jobs.
Well, this is also another example of how public schools, whether it's here in the United Kingdom or across Europe, have decided to teach an advocacy activist curriculum over a knowledge-based one. Why in the world is it necessary? We're not talking just about mentioning LGBTQ issues in a high school sex and sexuality or biology class. We're talking about making the curriculum revolve, not around math, not around science, not around critical thinking or reading or literacy. It's primatizing these things, making these things primate, I should say, to what's going on in the school here. This is going to be the first thing we do. Our first agenda is racial consciousness. Our first agenda is LGBTQ agenda. Only then we will build around those core issues actual learning. It should be exactly the other way. This teacher's got it right. Why is this, of all the things that our kids could be brainwashed with, why is this necessary? You could just as soon make a case for 1,000 other political advocacy positions. Why are we prioritizing only these ones?
Yeah, and it's a major communist movement. Again, once again, we've been talking about the 45 communist goals, and one of them is destroying the family from within, the structure of how God designed a family to be, husband, wife, and children. And so when you have this and they're now pushing it on the schools are no longer teaching just math and actually creationism. It shouldn't even be the science that they're pushing, which is evolution, which we know is also false. So that I literally was pumping my fist in the air when you were talking about the fact that these classes should never be taught. It isn't even a class. It's an ideology. It should never be taught on public school or any schools for that matter. That is something for the parents to raise their kids in. And now you have parents sending their Christian kids to a school being brainwashed when you never have the opposite problem. Christians aren't allowed to open their Bible and talk about scripture and share their faith in class. They're bullied, picked on, and kicked out of school today. So the problem now arises where parents are afraid to speak up for what's right. And I just want to encourage people watching this today. This is happening on American soil left and right. I'm hearing about college professors, high school teachers, elementary teachers losing their job because they're not using the right phrase or pronoun to call a student in class because there's 150 to choose from. It's absolutely ridiculous, but we can't be afraid of man. We have to be afraid of God. And if we all spoke up and said the truth, I believe a majority of Americans in our country are actual Christians. And if we all do what God's calling us to do, speak up when something's wrong, we will see major changes. Right now, the few bullies are trying to rule the many, and we got to put a stop to it.
Tina, talk a little bit about your app and how parents can access it.
Absolutely. Well, I want to quickly show you guys the neat thing that we have started here. We have literally 18 people on the team. We just hired actually 2 more, so make that 20. These are all the different stories that currently are popping out through the app. So every day you'll have 3 or 4 different alerts that come through from pop culture, to voting, basically all the brainwashing that's going on, and the positive content that is out there for our kids that the media doesn't want to let people that know that exists, because it's not promoting abortion, and it's not promoting same-sex couples. It's godly, uplifting alerts. And then we have an archive. A lot of parents said, hey, I really want to look up video games. Can you just have a section on your app with all the video games? My kid's a gamer. Or my kids are really into books. Can you please put a section with just books? We added this in the last 2 weeks. It's phenomenal. So once the alerts are over 2 weeks old, which is still hot content, we have them categorized for all the parents to easily find them. You definitely want to download the Counterculture Mom app. At the very top on the right-hand side in the menu, you will pull down and click on premium content. The premium section for $2.99 a month is where you get that amazing content blasted into your phone. It has trending news alerts. It has the alert pop culture alerts. And it also has a really neat section called Inform Us, where you can tell us the dirt of what's going on. Send a screenshot, text us, or take a video footage, send it to us, and then we create that content to blast that alert out to all the thousands of parents that have this app.